Well, for sure, no questions asked, without a doubt, the highlight for me of the intervention show this season, and a new addition to the show, Dr. Ian Rabb. Welcome.
Thanks, Brad. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I know you're in Calgary or thereabouts, right?
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg. I'm in Southern California. I know I asked you if you could, or what it would take for you to go outside and sit for this interview. And what did you tell me?
Minus 30 today.
Gosh, I don't know how you do it, but I'm glad you do it,
Me
because
too.
even the cold spots need all the help they can get. And I'm so curious what 2024 has held for you in terms of some of the highlights.
Well, that's a loaded question, Brad. Like, it's been a great learning year for me um, in my personal recovery. I've done a lot of personal work, but for highlights, as for where I'm going, I've left like working for big companies and I'm just doing interventions, family case management, and coaching now, which is something I've wanted to do for like 5 years and spend my
Mm.
time and effort really getting families connected to the truth and getting families connected to recovery and helping their identified subjects, their loved ones, kind of get the gift that you and I know so well that we can provide to people.
It reminds me of how when people call us, they think that it's an impossibility that stands between them and their loved one. And do you find that the first intervention we do really is on that first caller to instill the notion that hope is possible, that a yes is likely to be had, and that, you know, they actually do qualify for an intervention?
100%. And it's actually it's almost an obsession for me now, actually, since I appeared on intervention. Like, the family work and the family narratives that are created out of the identified subject being, or the addicted or alcoholic person
Right.
being so sick, are so different from the truth. And so the first call is always about trying to get that person, the first person to make contact with me, to see that they're not so different than the rest, first of all. And second of all, that attaining a yes is quite simple for me. To them, it seems virtually impossible, like
Impossible. Yeah.
impossible. Like they have
I
every
love
reason why they can't.
I love the idea of no as a conversation starter.
Correct.
Of course they're saying no. That's why you're calling me. I know too, you're one of the few people that can relate to this in my world of doing intervention, but also sometimes taping them for shows like, for Oprah and the Today Show and Good Morning America and Oz for years. And I wonder, what was it like for you having cameras around and really documenting the experience?
That's a great question. So I really went in with trepidation to actually take a role on the show. First of all, as you know, I studied under you, really, and really believe in invitational interventions, and they still kind of make it look Johnson like, right? And so,
Like,
but that's
meaning it's like a surprise. It's a
it's
surprise.
like it's a
Yeah.
surprise. But is it really when there's cameras following someone around for 4 days or 5 days, right? The question always appears to the person who's so sick, is like, oh, is this intervention? Are we doing an intervention? And everybody's like, no, we're not. Um, it's actually quite invigorating to have cameras around for me.
Mm.
First of
Do you,
all, one of the greatest things about intervention for me is the fact that we never know really what's going to happen, right? There's something about having the skill around moving through this process with all of these
mm.
individuals that you've now tried to get aligned, thinking the same way and paddling the boat in the same direction. So for me, it was very interesting because um, you just do what you do, right? And that's the most important thing, whether it's TV or not, or we're taping it or not. We are still actually ultimately saving lives. And if I have the right purpose in mind, I absolutely can. The cameras were of no bother to me at all, really. And the team, the other thing that was incredibly inspiring for me is that the team behind the scenes, are all really incredible people that want the same outcome that I want. You'd be amazed to know that like the cameramen that have been following this person around and have developed a relationship with them
Mm.
often have a huge input into the ultimate decision of these people moving forward. So it's really a team effort, regardless if I'm the guy sitting there for 2 days being filmed. Um, the hardest part being filmed is actually when you're meeting with the family for the 2 days prior. That's the more difficult part than actually intervening on the people that I can identify with and relate to so well.
No, no doubt the family system that we walk into, whomever that might entail. You know, so, sometimes it's a coworker or most of the time it's family members, a loved one, a formerly engaged loved one, exes. Um,
Friend, friends,
what
ex-friends,
spot do you?
ex-friends.
Yeah, what spot or what a position do you think is the most powerful typically? Is it the mom? Is it the employer? Is it what? Is it a
You
doctor?
know,
What do you think? Can you count the most important one?
so that the most important, it changes every time. So, my goal, other than educating the family and teaching them that they have to get help as well, the most all I want is a yes. Like that's all I want. And I set it up most often so if there's 5 or 7 people there, that the yes happens by the second or third individual that speaks to their loved one. Um, and so I always place whoever in that second or third, the first person they don't hear a word they say. The
Mm,
second person, I believe they're trying to figure out their exit. Like, how am I going to get out of this room? So
right.
it's often the third person, right? Like in my experience, that you want to be the most powerful. And that can be sometimes mom, sometimes it's the one that has the most. Well, I always look for if there is respect left,
Mm,
who the identified subject has the most respect for. It's often a grandparent that they've relied on. So I move around from the actual person it is to the relationship between the person and um, the person that we're intervening on.
do you find that in real life in your private practice that it's swifter than people think it will be? Meaning the intervention itself, you
Oh,
come to a
100%.
yes. Yeah.
There's a few times that people want to hear every letter. That's the ones that are hilarious to me. They say yes, but they're like, I want to still hear what everybody has to say.
And
And that's when I
sometimes,
start sweating. That's when I start sweating that someone's going to say
yeah,
the
things
wrong
can fall
thing.
apart. Yeah. And
Right.
I find sometimes the challenge is when we don't need to go to everyone, letting the participants know that they can still have their say by sharing a letter or something with their loved one. That
Well, I've
now's
said
the
that
time
seven,
to get packed
seven
and get
times.
moving.
Yeah. Yeah. I say that 7 times to them, but they all still want to hear their own voice. And, you
Mm.
know this better than me. When you've been doing this longer than I have. It's
People want to
quite
be
interesting,
involved and have their
actually.
say. I think, right?
100%. And if they were the angry brother or the mad dad or the enabler, like whoever they
Mm,
are in their roles, they really want to be heard. And I spend now a lot more time with the intervention team, the family and the intervention team
mm,
than I used to. Like I actually believe in that. Um, I was at another training one time, and someone said, "Do you think when you get a yes, that's all the intervention is over and you've been successful?" And like 10 or 12 people put up their hand, yeah. And I was like, and then we talked about it later, and it's like if you don't get 2 or 3 people help out of that group somewhere in that system, actually you will likely have a failed recovery, never mind a failed intervention. So I've really spent a lot of time now trying to get people the help they need, wherever they need it and whatever position they are in that family, right? If the
mm.
codependent or anger, or whatever we got to work on. I'm super obsessed with family narratives. Like I cannot believe sometimes what becomes okay to families. That is the
Mm.
thing that drives me now. Like I could
The
give you
tolerance
examples,
for
but it's
pain and
just like
crisis is so high.
Well, dad's out at night driving around drunk in the farmer's field, killing gophers with a gun
Yeah.
in a blackout. And that,
I
where's
haven't
dad? Oh,
heard
he's just
that
out
one
driving
before, but
around in a blackout.
yeah, every family has their version of the gopher killer.
Right. And it's
Yeah.
like that's okay. You know, she's dying of liver disease and she drives drunk and you're scared to
Yes.
do an intervention,
Yeah.
right? Like you're scared
You're
to,
not going to break her by doing an
right.
intervention. Well,
Correct.
look, Ian, I'm so good. It is so good to see you today, and I wish you nothing but the best in the new year. I know you also were married in 2024, so
I was.
congratulations.
Thank
May
you.
it be everything you hoped it would be, and I just
Yeah,
appreciate the work you do so much.
yeah, it's that and more, you know,
Right on.
regardless of good and bad and challenges, and the love is really strong. And I think that's really the essence of what we do and everything we do. If
I'm
we
so
come
glad.
from our heart.
I'm so glad that you got better, so that you could pay it forward in the ways that you do in helping the families that you have.
Yeah, and I will also say that I appreciate you so much. Um, your guidance and knowledge and friendship has been everything to me. So thank you. Like I'm happy to see you face to face and say that. So
I can't wait to see you when it's warm for both of us. And
well,
Happy New Year to you.
don't be shocked if I just show up and knock on your door in the near future. It's really cold here.
Here, here. Happy
Happy
New
New
Year to
Year.
you, Ian.
Happy holidays.
Bye bye.